McGrath comes in, it's on its way, it's there! The miracle on grass!
Owen with a kick to full forward, Cloak, not quite, Blair, Collingwood back in front.
The scene, he delays the give, Franklin, this is Buddy Franklin! This is the greatest showman! Poor fans can't bear to watch. They led by 28 points at one stage, but the perfect storm has erupted. Oh, who else? McDonald,
In round 13 of the AFL season, we have officially seen the D's winning streak become long gone. The Lions have rolled their way to the top of the standings with by the hairs of their chin, dude. 0.2 percentage points puts them atop amid the D's struggles. And another thing that happened is, if you guys were paying attention, you would know that piss was indeed fully extracted. That and more happened in round 13 of the handles. I might have to link just what we're referring to. Real quick, shout out to Triple M because they're becoming my favorite thing of the sport in general. They are they're fantastic, aren't they, Donnie? Oh man,
James Brayshaw, you bloody legend. For some weird reason, he is obsessed with saying the word pissed when he finds something fascinating.
Oh, the dude might have some weird stuff going on. I won't question it because he's funny on the mic. But we got that for you guys. A crazy round, some great times for a bye week for some teams, and some teams really took advantage of the opportunities that they were given. We're talking about some guys that are really pulling ahead when it comes to the Brownlow. We're talking about possibly, we're going to get into this a little bit more, but the top 8 right now, the current finals picture, it's looking like loaded. There's a lot of talent in that, and I really see a lot of parity, and even the lower seeded teams, the 7-8 teams, I could see them making a run at the flag. So this is shaping up to be a super just exciting finals this year. But of course, and we got something new for you guys this round as well. A little bit of would you rather. We're going to put a little bit of Donnie's brains and will to the test to see what he really desires, especially when it comes to the Swans, when it comes to certain rules in the AFL, and when it comes to building your team around one of the best young stars the league has seen in quite a long time. Then we got What the Blank, and Donnie is also going to ruffle some feathers, I'm sure. I totally set him up to fail on this one. I am so sorry, but also I'm really not, because it's going to be entertaining. And I'm just a bad person, I guess. But if the grand final could be anywhere in any location that's outside of Australia, where is it going to be? We're definitely going to be breaking some traditions here. Sorry, not sorry. But of course, thank you so much for tuning in. This is our round breakdown for round 13 of the AFL season. I'm your host, Ross Allen, joining alongside by the best in the business, our official AFL footy correspondent, Coach Donnie. And Coach, how are we feeling after your team had the week off? My team didn't, so they actually won. That's 2 weeks in a row that they've gone without losing. Fantastic stuff. But how are we feeling after going to round 14?
Oh, it is fantastic to look at the ladder and see the parity that is the league this year. And the footy shows definitely caught on to it, with some broadcasters going as far as saying that as we speak, there's potentially 10 teams that could win the flag out of 8 teams that are going to make the finals. So it's a very fascinating little time of the year when we've got one more set of bye weeks, one more game of 6, and then it's 9 games the rest of the season to round 23. And as you said, the bottom part of the bottom 8 from 4th to 8th are all so close that I agree. I heard this particular quote said sometimes it's as tight as a frog's backside, which is watertight. So it is definitely going to be an interesting end of the year because you got some marquee matchups. You've got Brisbane. Brisbane still has to play Melbourne 2 times. Freo still has some difficult games. Sydney still has some difficult games. Richmond's got difficult games. And Collingwood is hotter than a firecracker right now. So we are going into a second half of the season, and fireworks could happen as these weeks go on. So I am thoroughly thrilled as we get closer and closer to finals to see what 8 teams are going to be hooking it up to fight for that flag.
And you bet that the Collingwood Magpies are red hot. You could say they're flying high right now. And before we get into your headlines for this round, it's mostly because of one player, the greatest American footy player of all time, the living legend, future Hall of Famer, that is Mason Cox. And speaking about how much I love Mason Cox, let's take a look at the new merch that came in. I am beyond excited to finally be able to put this on my back and just really plaster it around everywhere I go and really just show my love and my support for the big man in Mason Cox. So go do you guys a favor. Do yourselves a favor. If I know you all love Mason Cox out there. I know you love the big man. So what better way to support him and to show your love for him than one of these bad boys? Yeah. Just really show your love of how much you love the big man Mason Cox with your very own I Heart Big Cox 4th and Long apparel. Come on, all right. You guys have every right to call me a child for this one, but I am proud of it, damn it, and I think it's great.
You gotta be a child at heart sometimes, and sometimes you just gotta be able to get away with a T-shirt with a tiny innuendo. Who cares?
Just a little. Well, actually, it's a rather large innuendo, about 6 feet 8 inches of it. I don't know centimeters for that. I assume it is over 200. I don't know. I know 200 is.
I believe he's like 200 and I think he's 210. I think centimeters. I think is what he is. He's just short of 7 feet. He's actually not 7 foot tall. So it's up there.
Yeah. So let's see. He's what, 6'8", right? So that's going to be 72. That's 80 inches. 80 inches converts to 203 centimeters. Yes, I love it, all 203 centimeters of Mason Cox, the running, living, breathing giraffe of a human being he is. I think he's great. I think he's fantastic, and everyone should, in theory, love Big Cox. And so go ahead, fourthandlong.com/apparel. Get yourselves one of these today. We do ship to Australia, and one of the best parts is not only is it a fantastic looking shirt, Donnie, it's also very comfortable. It's a tri-blend cotton. Donnie's going to get some of this in his mail soon because he deserves, and he deserves some of this. Also, he's not only going to get the Big Cox merch, he's also getting some fantastic just footy merch as well. So if you don't necessarily love Big Cox, which is fine, I understand. Not all you guys can be, sophisticated as I am. You can still rock a fantastic footy shirt. That's also at the fourthandlong.com/apparel, and that is going to be a grand old time. But Coach, with my shameless plug and my constant shilling out of the way, let's get into Hess's headlines. What you got for us wrapping up round 13?
Oh, man, some fun headlines. There's a few topics I am going to avoid because I think they've been to death. So I'm going to primarily keep first headlines, and this is probably going up everywhere, is D's dropped 3rd game in a row to a red-hot Pies. Collingwood again, nipping the D's. And it's a fascinating stat to think about. Right now, currently, the Collingwood Magpies have the longest active winning streak over the Melbourne Demons in the last 2 years, and that's a grand total of 2. So it just shows you how good the D's have been, that they're the only team in the last 2 years to have beaten the D's twice. So it's very fascinating to keep it up. We jump to the next one. Brizzy takes to the top of the table after a tough win against the pesky Saints. The Saints unfortunately had some injury troubles, and the Lions survive it. But the Brisbane Lions are now currently at the top of the ladder after the round by the barest of margins. But the Lions, the Brisbane Lions, are top of the table after this round. A fascinating development at the top of the AFL ladder. You're going to love this one, Ross. GWS big win versus Woeful North caused cracks between Horn and company. Unfortunately,
You're welcome, Jason. We're going to get you a great new contract in the
the young man
team.
that was the number one overall pick, unfortunately, did not have a good day, not only on the field, but also off. It's not good footy, unfortunately. But he also is going to comp himself a 2-game suspension for a head-high hit. And now rumors are a-swirling that will North look to potentially move on from the disgruntled teenager, or will they try to see if they can maybe bring the young man back along by letting him have 2 weeks to kind of cool his head off and maybe see if they can get a few things into him? So it's a very fascinating thing at North Melbourne right there, that big loss, and the cracks are starting to show at North Melbourne. And could this cost them this superstar that is Jason Horne-Francis? The last headline of the round says Freo survive red hot crack by pesky Hawks. Again, this Hawthorn Hawks team, I think a lot of people kind of looked at them and said they were potentially a wooden spoon candidate. New coach, new system. How would they take to it? They gave Freo everything they could handle in this game. An absolute cracking game of Freo. A little bit of credit here. And kind of a nice little comeback by the man that is Nat Fife. And what I kind of laughed was, I don't know, did you see the comment that he said about being a first gamer in a post-game interview after the game?
No, what did he say?
He was interviewed after the game, and he as almost as a joke, but he actually meant it. He asked Sarong and Brayshaw where he needed to go. He said, treat me like a first gamer. Tell me where you want me to go, and I'll be there. And that's exactly what they did. And it was almost this funny thing because you get a 2-time Brownlow medalist asking a couple of young to go. So it was a very fascinating first game for Fife that I had to get a kick out of. But I'll tell you this right now, Flag Mantle and many out in Freo that are flying the purple are very, very happy campers right now, because they are sitting very well to not only make the finals, but potentially be a top 4 side, which that is going to be a crazy road trip to go to Perth in the finals if they are rocking the purple. The Purple Army is rocking for the Fremantle Dockers, and that is going to do it for my headlines. 4 fantastic results this week with some interesting discussion points that I cannot wait to talk more about.
Man, I'd be so excited to. I can't imagine what it'd be like to be able to be a Freo fan in attendance at Optus for one of these finals games. That would be incredible. Let alone, what if, man, just imagine if Freo wasn't a year late and was able to play a home grand final game in Optus like we had last year. That would blow the they would probably build a roof on it just to blow it off again, because it would be that crazy.
I would not disagree with you on that one.
Oh, that'd be great. But going off the headlines, what we're going to jump into here is going from Donnie's correct takes on the round. We're going to go into some that might be a little bit controversial, might be considered a little bit hot as well. Because what we got for you guys, of course, you don't know how these overreactions work. I got 3 statements that come from round 13 of the AFL season, and it's up to Coach Donnie to assess whether they're actually overreactions or if there is some truth to them. Starting us off, statement number 1. No Max Gawn means no finals for the Melbourne Demons.
Oh, I think this is an overreaction. I think Luke Jackson now gets his chance to step up and show why he was one of the top draft picks in his draft year. He's a very talented player. Is he Max Gawn? No, he's not. Let's just be honest. He's not. But there's still some things that he's going to be able to do. The biggest question will be is how does the backup ruck handle being on a side that is under a lot of pressure right now. I mean, the D's are under pressure. When they come back, they have to perform, because if they still struggle, even with Stephen May being back and some of the injuries that they've had, struggle is the pressure of every expectation of the Melbourne Demons, and all of fascinating to keep an eye on it. I don't think so. I think Luke Jackson, there's enough talent there. I think the D's will still make finals even without Gawn. It's only a month, and they get lucky. They get a bye week this week. So the first week of this injury, he's not there. They don't play. So there's 1 week already ticked off. So if he comes back in only 3 weeks, he only misses 2 games. 2 games is not going to drive this team out of the finals. So I think
Exactly. One of the great things here is from their success early on in the season, they do have a 12-point margin from the 9th spot. Richmond Tigers currently, they're sitting at 28 points. Melbourne still sitting at 40, and they also have quite the percentage points ahead of literally anyone else outside the top 15, or outside the top 8, even within the top 8 there as well. I guess I like how you bring up that with Luke Jackson. I think one of the things I'm curious about is I like seeing how the Swans have responded, a couple of rounds ago without their big man in Buddy Franklin. So we all know if anyone's a heart and soul of a team, it's going to be Max Gawn, the way Buddy Franklin's kind of the heart and soul of the Sydney Swans. So to see the young guys be able to step up, to see what they look like without him, and especially if they could get back on track and get a win here in a couple rounds without Max Gawn, that is going to be able to rewrite the whole ship almost instantly, or at least maybe not rewrite the whole thing, but that's going to be a big chunk of momentum and send them back into the finals. I think, worst case scenario, they might limp into the finals, but they almost assure themselves at least a fighting chance,
So, 100% agree. They're just too good to fall out. I think even if they limp into the finals, honestly, they may be a sleeping giant if they do limp into the finals, because if they can get their form back at the right time, aka finals time, they could be a scary matchup no matter where they are.
Yeah. I don't think that Demons team that we saw 4 rounds ago is that far away from their current team right now. Of course, these fans, we'll have to wait and see. Sorry for you guys. It probably feels horrible. It feels like you're going back to, was it 1962, 68 when they won their last grand final before the most recent one? It wasn't it was the 60s, right?
I think it's 1967. I think was the year that their previous grand final was. But yeah, I believe so. Again, don't quote me on it, people. I'm not
Right. Point being, you're not falling back there. You're not a horrible team. Just a good team that lost a few games. Definitely no need to lose hope there in Melbourne. But statement number 2 is that Carlton is the weakest current top 8 team. Right now, if you take a look, they're sitting there at 4 behind Freo, Melbourne, and the Lions. They're ahead of the Cats, the Saints, the Swans, and the Magpies. They are in the middle. So, the 3 teams ahead of them are at 40 points. The 4 teams below them are at 32 points. Carlton's saying they're at 36. But they also have the second lowest percentage points out of the top 8. They have about 115. I'll round up. And Collingwood is the lowest there with 105. So, Donnie, are they the weakest team in the top 8?
You could make the argument because of their injury list.
Yeah, it's kind of
it's
large.
Definitely an option, because unfortunately the great story that is Marchbank comes back. Well, and Marchbank gets hurt too, and unfortunately after him coming back, now he's gonna miss at least 6 weeks. Yeah, so their mid-season draft pick Durden is literally going to have to play this week, and he's only been with the squad for 15 days. So right now they are paper wall thin in the defensive end. So I hate saying it because they are so scary going forward.
Yeah.
But I think if you can get on them, if you can get on top of them and kind of neutralize their forward of 50, forward of the ball, then they are very gettable, completely gettable. If you can win ruck taps and get it into the defense, their defensive side of the 50. Yes, I 100% agree they could be the weakest link. But again, they're just so scary going forward with Kerno and Mackay that they can almost kind of be that team that just outscores opponents to win games. It may not be the most flashy way to win in the finals. It might get them in, but it probably won't win them a grand final. Like, if you look at the 8 sides that are in the finals right now, Carlton would be my least fancy team because their style of footy will not win finals. It won't, because if you can't stop people from scoring, it's going to be very difficult because teams are all going to fall apart on them. So I will say this is not an overreaction, but that is going off basically, can this style of footy survive finals, or can they get to the finals and get healthy?
It's a good question. Hopefully they don't slide too much. This Carlton team could certainly use the huge boost that is a top 4 spot in the finals, because I'd be a little leery of them. They're still obviously a great team. We've never really been down on the Blues this season, but definitely a tricky spot for them to have to manage at this point. And going from a team that might be in a tricky spot to one that's in a whole lot better of a position right now, let's talk about the Freo Dockers, because statement number 3, Donnie, Andrew Brayshaw is a lock. Of course, parentheses, barring injury, of course. We get it. For the Brownlow medal. Right now, when it comes to the odds, he is sitting top. He is 2 points ahead, or I guess 2 votes ahead of second place right now. And he really just has been nothing short of dominant this round. He finished with a goal and 37 disposals against Hawthorn, furthering him even further in the Brownlow contention. And also, before we get your answer, right now he's not the betting favorite. He's tied with Cripps. Lucky Neal is currently the betting favorite at $3 for the Brownlow. Brayshaw is sitting at $4.50, and he is 2 points ahead of, or 2 votes ahead of Clayton Oliver at this point. But circling back around to that, Donnie, Andrew Brayshaw is a lock for the Brownlow.
I think this is an overreaction. As much as I love Flag Mantle having the chance to get the medal, as well as being in contention, and Lockie Neal have both just playing such great footy. Even with Cripps missing a game, Cripps in those first 6 games, I think he got 3 votes in 4 out of the 5. And if he didn't get 3 in the other one, he probably got 2 or 1. So Patrick Cripps is polling really well. As long as Carlton keep winning, I think Cripps will poll. And I think that's bad news for Andrew Brayshaw. And the fact that Freo had those 2 losses in those ugly wet games, and usually losses means the most you're going to get is 2. That's going to put him a little bit behind the 8 ball for Cripps and Neal. So as much as I would love to see it happen, I think this is an overreaction right now. But again, there's a second half of the season. We don't know what Cripps and Neal will do. But right now, as I speak, what I've seen and what I kind of get by most of the umpires, I think Neal or Cripps are most likely more of a lock than Andrew Brayshaw. But Brayshaw's in contention. He's done really, really well. But those 2 losses in those wet weather games, I think may put him a little bit behind after this particular round of footy.
That's a good point there. And especially, I mean, to touch on Lockie Neal, we've spoken about Brisbane's issues and why you should be concerned as maybe a supporter of them and as a team. They definitely have some holes in their game, but especially, let's not even talk about the back half of the field. Their defense is damn near atrocious most of the time. But the man that really, they could probably credit Lockie Neal for, I don't know, what would you think, at least half of their wins alone, 5 out of 10? Because it really feels like if Lockie wasn't doing Lockie Neal things, Brisbane would definitely not be at the top spot right now. They might not even be in the top 4 at the moment.
I don't know if I'd go that far. I mean, Lockie Neal is an impact player. He makes impacts. I think the thing that he's doing this year is he's making more of a scoreboard impact. I think last year he kind of took on a Tommy Mitchell type of, he would get tons of disposals, but he wouldn't really make an impact on the scoreboard. He wouldn't get a goal every other game. He wouldn't get 2 goals in a game here or there. He would get 40 touches. He'd get 5 score involvements, which is relatively low for 40 touches. You think, hey, 40 touches, he should get at least 7, 8, 9 scoring involvements, because if you get the ball 40 times in an 80-minute game, you would think he'd make a little bit more of an impact. This year, he's down a few disposals. He's down around 28, 29 disposals, but he's getting something up around 8 score involvements and a goal almost every game. So that's making more of an impact, which I think is the reason why a lot of people are looking at him being the favorite, because he's not just with less disposals than he was when he was getting almost 40 a game.
Mm-hmm. Very good there. I know the least I could say for a fact is that the GW's Giants would actually be able to beat the Lions if it wasn't for that bastard Lockie Neal. Oh man, I'm still not over that game. I should be. I kind of am. But I like to bring it up because, man, they were so close, Donnie. They were so close. But you know what? Is what it is. They have a better. I would be way more happier at this round if they beat those. I mean, yeah. As we say, the wankers from the West, right? In the doggies. Oh, those. That's gonna be. I'm excited. It's gonna be a good round. I love it. I love this game. I love this rivalry. It's going to be a lot of fun. So this is definitely something I could get around. But let's go wrapping for our overreactions here. Let us know in the comments or hit us up over on socials. You can follow us at Fourth and Long Media over on Twitter and Instagram. Does Max Gawn's injury spell disaster for the Melbourne Demons? Is Carlton the weakest top 8 team? And is Brayshaw a lock for the Brownlow? We're going from Flagmantle and Brownshaw. Can we get that going? Brownshaw is.
Oh gosh.
Flagmantle and Brownshaw, baby. Let's go, Frio. But we're going to go from there. We're going to hop into something new for you guys in a little bit. I mean, I'm sure we've all played this game before, especially with your friends giving you horrible decisions to choose between. I kind of got one for Donnie there. Next couple, they're really tied to some of the action from this round. It's going to be a lot of fun because we're going to play Would You Rather. Of course, real simple stuff. Would you rather do this or that? A few statements for Donnie, and we're going to see, because we're going to kind of put him to the test, see what kind of fan he is well. I definitely know some of these answers. Really excited to see his, and I'm really excited to see yours as well. But the first would you rather statement, Donnie. Would you rather, and how about you guys can, following home, just switch the Swans for your favorite team. I just, personalize it for Donnie to make it that much more of a horrible
Insert
choice.
your club.
Insert club here. All right. But would you rather the Swans win the flag this year and miss the finals the next 20, or make the grand final the next 10 years in a row, but never win?
Oh, these are always the fun ones.
Imagine if this wasn't.
I'd rather have one championship and then no finals, or tons of finals and no championship.
Yep. The classic one.
Here's the thing.
I did the classic one, but I feel like
there's gonna be people
enough. So I really up the stakes with if you don't win it. No, I just went all out. Let's see.
Exactly. Well, and I 100% understand, and maybe this is the coach in me. I'd rather have the consistency. I'd rather get to 10 consecutive grand finals and lose them all, because that shows consistency, that we're winning, we're always getting there, and we're always going to be there. Like, I know it's weird for some people, because it's like, I've been through two grand final losses, and they suck. They really do. But you get there. Only 2 teams get to the grand final every year. I'd rather get to 10 consecutive grand finals, because that shows you have great club culture. You win games of footy. It means you get into the finals, which means you're in the 8, which means you're winning more games. I'd rather have that. I know that everybody wants a flag, but flags only happen once sometimes. I mean, I support a club that for 72 years didn't win a flag. So I'm not so much bent out of shape about winning the flag. I'm not. I would rather the consistency and the winning to set a winning culture, because once that 10 years, maybe we win 5 in a row after that. I'm going past the question a little bit, but that's me. I'd rather have the wins. I'd rather be a strong, consistent top level club than be a one hit wonder and then a 20 years out of the finals.
You know, that's fair to think. But one of the funny things that, going with this extreme hypothetical is, if you're the head coach of a franchise, like, even let's just go with 5. If you make 5 grand finals in a row but don't win one, I am not sure you keep your job, if I'm being honest. Right?
I think it depends on the club. Like, yeah. I legitimately think it depends on the club. Like if it's the full-time expectation that you win the grand final, I could see that. But I think most clubs will go, hey, our coach is getting us there. Like, that's the other way you got to look at it. Yeah. And I mean, would you, as a college football coach, would you fire your head coach if he's getting to the national championship game every year? I don't think so, because you're winning games, which means you can recruit better.
Yeah, that it's such a weird thing to think about. I know
each their own to each. It's
10 in a row would kill.
It would suck. No, 100% it would suck. Like, legitimately, it would suck. I've been through 2 grand final losses, and they both sucked.
I think the closest thing we have to this is at least in America, this happened where the Buffalo Bills made the Super Bowl, the championship game, 4 years in a row, and they lost all 4 of them. That was around the 80s and 90s, and
all 4.
Yeah, so that's oh, that'd be horrible. And that's a franchise that hasn't won the Super Bowl yet, and they've gone really close recently, and they still haven't won the Super Bowl. They have a really good chance this year if we want to talk a little bit of football. If you want to talk NFL, come join me every Tuesday. I'll drop a little NFL show over at thefourthlong.com/NFL. There's my great plug. But this is, I can't imagine what it'd be like to go through 4 in a row and not get So yeah, of course, to each their own here. It really depends. I know the sportsman to me, it's really championship or bust in a lot of my talks. So I'd probably take the flag, and and because that's where I'm at, the Broncos fan right now. Hey guys, we really suck right now. At least we have that flag from 2015. So I watched him win in my lifetime. It really is. I'm doing better than a lot of NFL fans, luckily. But the second would you rather is something a little bit more current, and something. This is just another way for me to shoehorn this into like the 20th round in a row, I think is what it is. But would you rather the umpire dissent rule be removed, or holding the ball to be more lenient, where it was kind of last year?
Oh boy, this is gonna be fascinating. For me, I think if you ask 99.9% of the fan bases currently right now, the first option, the dissent rule going bye-bye permanently, would be what everybody would say, because I think a lot of people have kind of somewhat gotten used to holding the ball being very inconsistent, and I understand that. And I expect it to be inconsistent, because what people think is an opportunity to dispose of the football is different between everybody. So for me, I would rather have the dissent rule goodbye, because it's the one thing that's doing everybody's head in right now. And I just would be okay with the ending of the constant whinging about it, like legitimately from me. So that's what I would take.
I love it. And honestly, and this wasn't even on it, I just kind of thought about this, and I need to give it to you. So lucky for you guys, bonus statement in this segment, and it still has to do with penalties. So here we go, Donnie. Unprompted too. You have no chance to even think about this, so this is great.
Question without notice, as they say in Australia.
It's what we do here. It's my way of keeping everyone on the toes, and it's a good or a bad host move depending on how you view it. But would you rather get rid of the umpire dissent rule, or would you rather get rid of the man on the mark rule?
Dissent rule again.
Still dissent. Still dissent.
I like the man on the mark rule. I like the man on the mark rule because I think it opens up play a little bit more. The one thing, and again, maybe this is opposite of what most people would probably think as the coach. It's like you want to be able to be defensively sound. I think it makes the game more attractive, and I think the man on the mark rule. The only thing I would change with the man on the mark rule, honestly, is just be a little bit more on it when it comes to shots on goal, because sometimes it gets a little bit laughable when a guy is standing there as the guy is kicking on goal and he's this far away from him, like that far away from him.
Yep.
Like it's laughable, like legitimately laughable. He's way off the line. Come on, umpire. You got to see that. So I don't know. That would, I would prefer the dissent rule gone because I personally like the man on the mark rule. I think it really has opened up the game, and I think it has helped with scoring, and it's kept the ball moving instead of constant ball ups and constant stoppages of play, which I think makes the game more attractive because the ball is constantly moving. So yeah, dissent would go bye because I like the man on the mark rule, at least for what it has done to the product.
That's fun. Two of these rules, you can compare them a little bit because the man on the mark rule and the umpire dissent rule, very controversial when they were first introduced to the sport. The only difference is that one actually worked out for the better, and one is still something that seems like 90% of the league just cannot stand. So it's the AFL got one thing right. They also got one thing horribly, horribly wrong in the eyes of the fans. But going to the last statement what I got for you, Donnie, is, and we spoke about this gentleman a little bit earlier, and we're going to talk about him again. Would you rather build an expansion team solely around Sam Walsh or Jason Horne-Francis?
Oh boy, if you'd asked me this question before this round, I would have probably leaned more towards Jason Horne-Francis because he's only 18 years old. He's got at least 3 to 4 years more than Sam Walsh. But I'm seeing some characteristics I don't like, and these are characteristics Sam Walsh didn't have in just as bad at teams with Carlton. So because of what I've seen, and it's a discipline thing just for me, again, this is hypothetical because I don't know. Maybe Jason Horne-Francis stays with North Melbourne. They get their what together, and North Melbourne becomes a dominant force in the next 15 years. We don't know.
15.
Or North Melbourne goes, you know what? Forget this kid. He's got too much of an attitude. We chop bait. We trade him to one of the SA. We try to get as much as we can, and we move on. It's a possibility. Sam Walsh for me right now because of the attitude things that we've seen in the past couple of weeks, but just overall what I could see happen, Jason Horne-Francis.
Fair enough there. And so let's go perfect world. Let's go just purely off of talent. Who do you think is going to be better for longer?
Well, you got to remember, Sammy Walsh has 6 or 7 years already on Jason Horne-Francis, so it's a little bit of a skewed argument right now. Because again, we have a very small taste of what Horne-Francis can do, and normally the recruiting guys, they know what they're talking about when they recruit these youngsters. When they look at these youngsters, the draft expert guys that I see and I pay attention to, they have been talking about Jason Horne-Francis for 2 years. Before this draft, 2 years, they said this kid is everything Danger was, and maybe even a little bit more. He is like the Sam Walsh, is the Lockie Neals, the Dangerfields. He was in that rarefied air when it comes to talent. So there's a great ceiling for Horne-Francis, but the issue is his elevator going to break down because he's at his Melbourne squad that right now is frustrating the living what out of him. And unfortunately, his attitude is causing him issues now, not only with the 2-game suspension there, but then his kind of fluff away of a very good, very experienced, and very veteran Todd Goldstein that did not look good. That is not a great look for North Melbourne. that your experienced ruckman, who is very respected throughout the league, just got brushed off by an 18-year-old, and I'm going to say this, and I don't mean it disrespectfully, an 18-year-old punk.
Yeah, it's kind of what it is. At least when it comes to talent, it choosing between these two guys kind of depends on maybe what you have. Like, maybe it depends on personal preference, because what it feels like to me, correct me if I'm wrong, Horn Francis at the moment, he has the higher ceiling, but in comparison to Sam Walsh, but he also has the lower floor, whereas Sam Walsh has the lower ceiling, but he has the higher floor. So there's a lot of stuff that comes in play, and that really just depends on the kind of person you like, the kinds of teams you like, the way you would, I guess, coach. I look at this a lot when it comes to comparing quarterbacks in the NFL, where it's really just a preference at that point, and thinking what you could build better. We'll love to see what you guys would rather build around. Would you rather build around the higher ceiling or the highest floor? Because that is a argument that gets talked about a lot in sports. But that's going to do it for Would You Rather. Let's know your thoughts on that one. Is this something we should bring back every once in a while? Did you like it? And what would you do here as well? Would you rather miss the finals for 20 years after winning the flag, or would you rather make the grand final 10 years in a row and not come home with a shiny new trophy? What do you think? Which penalties would you rather get rid of? And like I said, would you rather build around Sam Walsh or Jason Horn Francis? And quickly, before we get into the greatest list you'll ever hear, and no Victorian media can ever compare. I mean, they can't really compare it to us anyway, because we're better. I don't know. That's a little rude. We love you, Victorian media. We like to take the piss out of you, because
Talk about tooting your own horn there, toot.
Exactly. That's why. We like to take the piss out of you, because you kind of serve it up on a platter. It's really easy to, but it's good fun. But the point I was getting to, the greatest list you'll ever hear, the only list that matters is Coach Donnie's team of the round. No one else can compare to his. And before we get to that and our tips for this round, we're going to hop into what the blank. And this is something that maybe, the leader that is Max Gawn probably wasn't saying this. He probably says it in a nicer way, I would imagine. Definitely not talking as much trash as maybe some of his teammates did when that caused him. I love that. So the AFL ran that investigation on that Melbourne stuff, with the fighting, or some people called it a brawl as well. Did you catch up on that? Don't you see that the AFL want to run their own investigation on that? I guess it's fair.
They did run their own investigation, and they cleared them of any extra sanctions. They basically said that what Melbourne gave for the club was enough for them. So it's kind of, I almost wanted to go, why'd you even do the investigation then? Like, it was kind of so I don't know.
Such a waste of time.
I'm kind of tired of talking about it, to be 100% honest with you.
That's fair. That's so I don't blame you. There's a lot of stuff going on right now that I really just don't care about when it comes to stories. Definitely something that we can leave in the last round. But one thing that we can't leave in the last round is what the blank, because of course I got 3 statements for Donnie, and each of them has a blanket either the beginning, the middle, or the end, and it's up to him to fill in the blank with whoever he chooses. And this is something I teased earlier. We're going to find a new location for the grand final. You guys are probably going to hate it because it's not in Australia. So go ahead, have fun with that one, Donnie. I'm kind of just handing you a grenade without the pin in it right now, and it's just up to you to let go of the handle there. So good luck, my friend. But what we're going to start off with is statement number 1 for what the blank, Donnie. Blank is currently the scariest team to play against.
Oh, your t-shirt that you just brought in is a perfect segue.
Yes.
Collingwood. It is hard to say that Collingwood is not the hottest team in the league right now. You go and knock off the D's in just an absolutely firecracker game at the G on the Fight MND weekend for Neil Danaher, which was absolutely fantastic to see that. But right now the Pies are dangerous. They just beat the Melbourne Demons by double digits on the MCG. Their fans are up and about. It is crazy to think that 2 of the biggest clubs in Victoria, both Collingwood and Carlton are both currently in the 8 as we speak. That is crazy to see these two massive clubs in Victoria going at a rate of knots as they are. But it is so difficult not to say that the Pies are not the hottest thing in the AFL right now.
Nothing like a hot meat pie, is it? Right? They're looking great right now. Uh, man, I'm getting hungry. That's my fault. But I was hoping you were going to say this. I really was. Collingwood right now, they're riding the longest current winning streak in the league at 4 games. The next closest team is Freo with 3. And the Geelong Cats at 3. 2 very strong teams. I believe the Geelong is a stronger one than Carlton at the moment. But it just feels like Carlton has this ability to beat anyone. It's kind of crazy. Obviously not a lot of people are expecting this. They were kind of teetering around the top 8 earlier, in the season. Now they've kind of planted themselves there in the 8th spot. But this is a team that honestly, I don't think it's a far-fetched statement, and especially going after what we talked about the last couple of rounds we were talking about, Donnie, given their remaining schedule, given the winning percentage of the remaining schedule. This is a team that could, come out of these, they're going to their bye round. They could come out of these last 9 games 5-4. They could come out of these last games 6-3. This is a team that can get really hot when it matters the most. And hell, I don't think a top 4 spot in the finals is out of the picture for the Collingwood Magpies.
We'll have to see. I mean, it's again, you're gonna have to beat some good teams to get there. I mean, it's not like they have a cakewalk. It's not like they're playing North Melbourne, West Coast, Essendon twice.
They are playing the Giants, though, so they got that game on lock.
Well, let's just really quickly run through the rest of their schedule, because I mean we agreed. Okay, so you get the Giants this week, so this will be an interesting game for them because that's not an easy one. Okay, that's not an easy one. Or no, actually they get a bye. I forgot they're on the bye this week. Yep. So next round they get the Giants, then they get Gold Coast, North Melbourne, Adelaide, Essendon, Port Adelaide, rematch with Melbourne, Sydney, Carlton. So they get a few winnable games over the next 6. GWS right now, just on form, you'd say they'd win that one. Gold Coast, I think it's neutral. I think this is an even game. This is a coin flip, in my personal opinion. I think Gold Coast is going to push Collingwood in this game. It'll be fascinating to see that one. Should beat North, should beat Adelaide, should beat Essendon. Port Adelaide, I want to know what they are at this time in the middle of July. This July 28th will be that game against them. If Port is already out of the finals, this is probably a winnable game for Collingwood. If Port Adelaide has won a few games and is still sniffing around the finals, this could be a barn burner game before their final 3 games of the year: Melbourne, Sydney, Carlton. So they may have to get themselves into finals condition and give themselves some space, because those final 3 games are not easy. Melbourne's going to be madder than a firecracker going into that second game. Sydney is no easy matchup, even up at the SCG. And then your old rivals, Carlton, in round 23.
That's great.
With a chance to remain in the finals.
Put them last.
Absolutely insane. So just looking at that right there, Collingwood should get in just by the winnable games, even before those final 3 with 9 games left. I think they can win the 6 games going up to the final 3. The question is, will they go into the finals 0-3, 1-2, 2-1, maybe even 3-0? We'll have to see. But I mean, just looking at that, Collingwood is got to be licking their chops going in after this bye week, because they've got winnable game after winnable game after winnable game early before they get to the toughest part of their schedule, the final 3 games of the year.
Exactly. I see 6-3 being very achievable for this club. And I even see
6-3, 5-4 is what I see at the minimum. That is the minimum I see them getting out there, and that'll probably put them in the finals.
I could see a 7-2 could put them into a top 4 spot. And when it comes to, so they should, I'll preface it, they should be able to win their first 6 games. The real test is likely going to be the last 3, like you highlight there. And I would not be surprised if they could at least steal one out of this last three between Melbourne, Sydney, and Carlton as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is a
I agree.
good team, which is great. Is the resident Mixon Cox fan
And
I am.
the scary part is they don't have Brody Grundy right now. That's the scariest part about this team. They don't have Brody Grundy, one of the best rucks in the league.
You're going to remind me.
He's not playing right now. To see is who comes out. Does Darcy Cameron come out for Grundy? Does Cox come out for Grundy, or do you bring somebody else out?
You almost have to ride with Cox at the moment because he's looking great, and that's not even just my bias. That's actual people thinking that he looks great right now too, which is awesome. You're going to remind me. What does the so-called MVP of the grand final get? What's that award again?
Oh, geez, now you're gonna catch me with another question without notice, and I'm sitting here going, oh no, what is it?
Is it oh man, what was it again? I can't believe it. I'm almost surprised that the Norm Smith.
Norm Smith, yeah.
Yep.
I was like, I know as soon as somebody gives me the start of it, I'm gonna remember. I'm just like, oh my gosh, seriously.
So why I asked that is because I'm fully jumping on the bandwagon here. Mason Cox for Norm Smith, 2022. You guys can go ahead and
gotta get there first.
You know what?
Gotta get there first, and that's not gonna be easy.
No, it's not. But I want to see the odds. If I could bet on that right now, I'll throw like $5 down Mason Cox winning the Norm Smith. That's probably like, I'll probably be able to net 20 grand from that alone.
I don't think they start putting in bets for the Norm Smith until the grand final starts, because then they don't want just random. Yeah, well,
the American betting system doesn't.
You can almost get a.
We can bounce
you can almost
plus 100,000 odds. It's great.
Oh, it's like Leicester City with the year they won the EPL. They were 5,000 to 1, and a guy put 100 grand down on that bet. Legitimately, there's a guy in England put 100 grand down on Leicester to win at 5,000 to 1.
That's some money right there. But first off, yes, he's already doing well. Be able to have 100,000 to drop on the throwaway bet. So he has that going for him, but also to be able to get, that is, damn. To be that man,
he's gonna look like this. He probably look like the smartest guy on the planet when he put that bet down.
Well, no, he probably looked like the dumbest man on the planet when he put that bet down. But when it came through, then
that's right. At the end of the season, he looked really smart.
There he goes. The whole season is being ridiculed. Then people go, "Oh man, this guy's right," and then he got what he deserved with that kind of bet. But here we go. Statement number 2, the one that is going to be really interesting to see. If you could host the grand final in one non-Australian country, venue, location, where it would be blank.
All right, I'm gonna twist this just the tiniest bit because there has to be a ton of suspension. There's gonna be a lot of suspension of reality. Yep. Honestly, I'm actually going to give you 2, and it's only because I want to say this personally. There's one that I would love to see that's not here in the States, and then there's one I would like to see one place I'd like to see in the States. The one here in the States is Jerry World at Dallas, because you can get 100,000 people in there. Again, this is suspending reality because that stadium is not big enough. No. Legitimately is not big enough. There's not enough room to get a full size MCG oval. There isn't even enough to get a GMHBA oval into Jerry World down in Dallas. So it's not.
Field looks tiny compared to AFL ground.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just so this is a little bit of suspending reality in many ways. Mm-hmm. And then the other one, personally, just because it'd be fascinating to see it, is over in Spain at the Camp Nou, where Barcelona plays. That would be fascinating to see, because that is another 100,000 seat arena outdoors. Just how cool that would be to see it on European soil. Again, I know this is pie in the sky. It's never going to happen because the field dimensions are just too big. There's very few stadiums that could possibly even come close to being able to fit it. The only one I can think of here in the States that could come close is maybe the Rose Bowl, or maybe the stadium in LA. Oh my gosh, SoFi? I'm trying to think of what it's called. No, not SoFi. the old
the Coliseum.
where the Olympics were held.
Yeah,
the Coliseum. That was it. I was like, I knew saying another one, just like
they
Norm
had
Smith.
a NASCAR race at the Coliseum.
The Coliseum is the. We're gonna have another one. My wife loves NASCAR, and if they're gonna do another one. They're going to do another one in that. Yep.
That was one of the weirdest looking
and many
tracks
Australians
I've ever
are like, we don't care about NASCAR.
No.
Just stop talking about it.
Well, it's okay because most Americans don't either.
No, so the Coliseum would be the only one I think logistically they could fit. But I don't know if it may be a skinnier ground, a little bit like GMHBA, because I don't know if it has the width overall to be able to do it.
Great location in terms of flying from Australia to the States. It's like kind of like the perfect spot, really.
Well, it's the reason why Essendon and GWS was being talked about playing a game in the States for like during like round 1 or 2.
And you knew talk about
4
that
points
recently.
Not well with COVID, that all kind of got shut down big time. And right now, financially, a lot of these clubs are still kind of they're still kind of fighting a little bit, especially now that you have the lack of fans at the grounds is not helping, because a lot of clubs, the way they make money is for their people to show up for their home games, because they get the revenue from everything. And with people not showing up, that really does hurt them. So,
well, Donnie, I gotta ask. So, hypothetically, there is an AFL game. Let's not even talk grand final. Let's just talk, that one of the proposed regular season ones. They have a regular season game against 2 good teams in the Coliseum. Does that stadium sell out?
In the Coliseum, regular season game, I don't know.
I don't think
I am aware of many Americans that if that happened, they would make the journey. Mm-hmm. In fact, if I had the finances to be able to do it, I would.
Yes.
Like, I don't care who it is. Like it could be freaking West Coast. It could be West Coast and North Melbourne. As horrible as they've been, I'm still there.
That's
because
a bit of a stretch,
the only time to be able to. I know. Most likely you're looking at GWS, because GWS does have some backers that are in the States.
Yeah.
So I think GWS right now
Let's
seems to be.
Heck yeah.
I know, exactly. I thought that was kind of funny.
No,
GWS seems to be one of the backed teams, and then I've heard Essendon, I've heard Richmond. It's still kind of up in the air, but I don't care who it is. If it's in the States and it's a possibility, I would try to go, because to get it over here in the States and to be able to show Australians that there are Americans here that are going to watch this sport. It's not going to be 15 people sitting randomly going, "What's this?" No, there's a lot of footy fans over here that if they need to trek to LA to go to the game, they will.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it's not a massive league. It's not a massive league just numbers wise, but there are far more people that enjoy the sport over here than I think that a lot of people give credit to.
Exactly. And it says 77,500 seat stadium. We could definitely make that happen. Put that on the very nice. I didn't know. We can have some footy play on the very beautiful Bermuda grass in the LA Coliseum. I'll put that on a sports trivia quiz, Donnie. What grass do they have at the LA Coliseum? If you actually answer correctly, 1, you know way too much about grass, or 2, that's just weird, man. But also, I kind of respect it. But we're gonna hop into the last statement here, and that is, I got a few guys that, ones we've talked about before, and ones I think deserve a little bit more recognition as well. But this statement, Donnie, the most underrated player so far after 13 rounds is blank.
Oh, this one's difficult, because many of the players that I think need to be discussed are not underrated. Can I adjust this just the tiny? Let me adjust this just the tiniest bit.
Yes,
I'm going to adjust it to the coach.
Ooh.
That is the most underrated, and damn it, I'm gonna give it to him, because we give this club enough shit, and that is Stewie Dew from the Gold Coast Suns.
Yes,
that guy has been underrated all this year. Everybody came in to this season going, that's Clarko's job. It's just going to wait until Stewie Doo gets fired. And Stewie Doo has basically said, sit and spin with a certain index, with a certain finger raised up, ladies and gentlemen. And I love it. Absolutely love it. And the fact I'm hearing rumors Gold Coast are in negotiations to extend him. Thank you, Gold Coast. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, exactly. This is a what to the AFL a little bit, that Stewie Doo has a chance. And again, do not sleep on this Gold Coast team. They're still in this. They are still in this. I cannot wait to see this, because Collingwood and Gold Coast are going to be the wrenches when it comes to this finals, whether they get in or whether they're the teams that are going to keep other teams out. I cannot wait. But I saw your question. I love it, but I wanted to change it just a little bit because I wanted this rant for Stewie Doo. Congratulations, Stewie. Keep up the great work. Continue to stick it to these people. I'll even say it. I kept trying to say, as much as I thought it would be interesting to see Clarkson up there, I wanted Stewie Doo to succeed because he is such a great coach. He has done such a great job with this Gold Coast team, and he's defying the odds with each and every win he gets up there in the Gold Coast. On you, Stewie Doo. Let's go, Suns. I know it's weird coming from a Swans fan, but I want the Suns to continue to be successful.
Oh, I love it. I know for a fact that if the Gold Coast Suns aren't going to make the finals, you could probably bet that they're going to kick a couple teams out or stop their run at the finals as well. I love that shout for Stewie Doo. The only thing, I've been a little bit disappointed by his performance this year, and that's only out of jealousy because I wanted him to come to the GWS Giants. But obviously, that's probably not going to happen anymore. You know, Clarko's still out there, Buckley's still out there, so we're great. But I love Stewie Doo. I love being able to support the Suns. Also, you know, one player that I want to throw out there as well, hand in hand with the coach. Talk about Tuke Miller a little bit more, please, guys, because, you know, Victorian media. Because Tuke Miller is on something this year, Donnie. He is, and he's sitting there. He actually has 14 votes of the Brownlow Medal to his name, and he's sitting at 5th place, tied with Christian Petrarca. You know, if Tuke Miller's tied with Christian Petrarca right now when it comes to Brownlow votes, can we talk about that more, please? Because we need to give this man. Let's just group them together. Tuke Miller and Stewie Doo. Just wrap them in a nice bundle that needs to be talked about a lot more than they currently are. And give them their flowers, damn it, because they deserve that. I love this. And all, Donnie, 60 Gold Coast Suns supporters. It's up to 60. I love them so much.
Oh, double that. Make it 120 as good as they're playing. We're going to get to triple digits because I 100% agree with you. Tuke Miller, what a superstar he is. And the fact that he had a chance to leave Gold Coast. He had a chance to leave and go and take his talents to a team that might be making the finals, and he stayed loyal to the Gold Coast Suns, and he is being handsomely rewarded with a team that's playing well. Matty Rowell is back to Matty Rowell biz. He's not the overall kind of crazy stats that he was doing that first year, but he is effectively affecting the game for Gold Coast. And another one that I'll say that I didn't really think about, and that's in the ruck competition, and that is Jared Witz. Jared Witz is continuing to be an absolute game changer for these Suns. If the Suns make the finals, Tuke Miller and Jared Witz will be two of the reasons why. That is absolutely insane what the Gold Coast Suns are doing. So it's hard not to say the Suns really are the most underrated thing in all.
Just Suns in general.
Because everybody's talking Collingwood. Everybody's talking Richmond. Everybody's talking Western Bulldogs. I'm saying keeping an eye out for the Suns.
Talk Suns. Go ahead. Place your eyes on them if you dare, but don't do it for more than 1 second because you'll burn your retinas because of how hot of a team they are. Also, that's just good advice as well. You guys are welcome. Don't stare at Suns. It's bad. This has been a PSA from Fourth and Long. But let's know your thoughts.
Don't stare at the sun. You can stare at some suns as long as they're the Gold Coast Suns.
Okay. Well, technically, you can stare at those stars or suns. So technically, you could stare at those as well. But you guys know what I mean. Don't hold me liable for any retinas being burned from the Suns because you know they're hotter than a snag in summer. I don't know. Yeah.
Trying so bad.
I've tried, man. I'm trying. You guys got to give me a little bit of credit for at least trying. But let us
He's
know.
pulling people. He's pulling.
I'm going. I'm going. Yeah, look, throw a little Vegemite on that snag. Yeah. Also, wear your helmets when the Magpies are out in mating season. There. But let us know your thoughts on what the blank. Who is the scariest team to play against right now? If you could host a grand final in one non-Australian location, what would it be? And who is the most underrated coach, player, or just team in general? And if your answer is anything not Gold Coast Suns related, I will accept your answer, but I will be mightily disappointed, and you'll probably be wrong. But let's hop into, before we round things out with our tips for round 14, it's time for Coach Donnie's team of the round. Donnie, tell us who was great enough to grace this amazing list.
This was a very interesting week because we had some great performances. We had some very fascinating the forwards for the first time was kind of a stretch, because the highest goal kicker the entire round was 4, and there was a ton around 3 and 2. So this was a very interesting week when it came to the team of the week, but we'll jump right into it again. Always start with defenders. Sam Doherty for Carlton, again, just Mr. Consistency. He's come back and just absolutely been fantastic. One of the few bright spots for me for the Essendon Footy Club, besides the absolutely fantastic birthday celebration that they had on Friday night, was Dyson Heppel. Dyson Heppel with a great game. The captain showing his fellow Bombers how you're supposed to play the game of footy. Anya Dyson Heppel. Next, Fremantle's Hayden Young. Again, Fremantle. It's the unsung hero guys. Yes, you hear the Brayshaws, you hear the Darcys, you hear the Lobs, you hear the Taberners, you hear the Fifes. It's guys like Akers. It's guys like Young. It's these maybe somewhat underrated players are having great seasons. So again, another great game for him. GWS, Harry Himmelberg, he has moved back and he has had a renaissance when it comes to his career. And again, when you play North Melbourne or West Coast, it's very easy to put up stats. So it's not difficult to get into the team of the week when you play one of those unfortunate dumpster fire teams. We jumped Collingwood, Braden Maynard. Top level game, you play the Demons and you have a game out, hard not to plug you in there. And last but not least, he's moved back there and continued to be strong, and that is Angus Brayshaw of the Melbourne Demons, again, rounding out the defenders. We go to the ruck position. He got dismissed by his young rookie, but it's still a great game by North Melbourne's Todd Goldstein, continuing to keep playing very good football for a not so very good North Melbourne Roos team. We jumped to the mids. We talked about him earlier. You thought he might be a lock. I don't think he's 100% there, but he definitely gave a Brownlow type of performance here, and that's Freo's Andrew Brayshaw. We jumped to Brisbane. Not Lucky Neal from me, because I think Hugh McCluggage of the Brisbane Lions had a really good game in this one, made some impact on the scoreboard. So I have Hugh McCluggage in my team of the week. North Melbourne, this young man has come a long way from being a guy that's dropped constantly. And that's North Melbourne's Luke Davies Uniacke with another great game for the Roos. GWS sees another guy, that is Stephen Canelio, with one of the best midfield performances, I believe 3 goals in this game. So an incredible performance by Cogs there. And last but not least, a little bit of controversy winning the game medal, and that's Melbourne's Clayton Oliver. He gets 43 disposals. He kicks a goal, but honestly, a lot of his possessions were early in this game. The game kind of evened out later, and he didn't have as big an impact, but you put up 43, you kick a goal. It's hard not to say you don't earn yourself a spot on the team of the week.
Fans there
we go to the forwards again. Not a ton of goals kicked this week for the forwards, but got to give it a shout out. Port Adelaide's Todd Marshall stepping up, still playing well. Even with the addition of Charlie Dixon, Todd Marshall has really stepped up and played really, really well for Port. Welcome back. Carlton's Harry Mackay comes back. Great to see this great forward come back in and kick goals. 2 in a row here. GWS is Jake Riccardi and James Peatling, both with 3 goals up forward for GWS again. North Melbourne, not as difficult, but You got to put them through the big sticks. And they did. And the last two are both Collingwood members, and that's Jamie Elliott and Brody Myachek are the final two forwards on the starters from the bench, continuing to play great footy. And that's Jackson Clare from the St. Kilda Saints. Midfielder, I got to give a tiny tip of my hat because he finally is starting to play the way I think it is, and that's Hawthorne's Jager O'Meara. The ruck, pull the shirt up, sir. Pull the shirt up.
There we go.
As the backup ruck on the bench is Mr. Mason Cox.
Let's go, baby.
So I got to give him that right there. And then last but not least is forward, another triumphant return by Joe Danaher of the Brisbane Lions. We'll get to the final spot on Coach Hess's Team of the Week.
Oh, I love it. I was getting a little bit nervous when you didn't. I'm a little disappointed he's not, just the ruck of the round. But, for him to make
Goldstein kicked 2 goals and had a few more hit outs. So it's hard for me to over. In fact, actually, he only had 9 hit outs and Darcy Cameron had 16. So it was hard for me to put him as your starting ruck when he wasn't exactly the most dominant ruck stink, but he kicked a goal in that game, which I think was impactful a little bit more than some of the guys there. So I slipped him into the bench spot. So
I'll forgive you on this one. It's okay. Yeah, there's still a great list all together. But ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna cap things off with our tips for round 14, the last round of the bye week. And there's gonna be some fun ones in this one. I am actually, you are going to end up having a bold tip of the round from me. I've been debating. I've been doing a lot of going back and forth in my head today and throughout the recording this episode. There's I might be going with some underdogs. Might be going with some underdogs according to the odds or from tipping percentages. But I am going to give you a bold tip of the round. Just you wait. This feels almost like, blasphemous given the praise we were just giving this team a little bit earlier. But, I promise you guys one around. And this is one I don't necessarily want to tip. But I'm going to tip it for you guys anyway because that's my promise. But starting us off on a little Thursday night action, we got Richmond and Carlton at the MCG. We have Richmond as a slight favorite, but Carlton is taking the most tips from the AFL website with 57% of them, and I will agree with those tipsters. Let's ride with the Blues.
I'm also with the tipsters. I'm going with Carlton. I just think their bruising ability through the midfield and no Dusty Martin, I think, is going to catch up with this Richmond Tigers team. Kane Lambert is back, which is a great addition, but he's no Dusty Martin. I just think the Blues are going to have just a little too much offense for Richmond, and Richmond has been a little inconsistent going forward of the footy. I think this is a barn burner tomorrow morning. I cannot wait for it. It's going to be a fascinating game to watch, but I'm going to tip the Blues in this one.
Ooh, Danny, a bit of a bummer I want to point out real quick. On the AFL website, they have, the gauntlet, which I got eliminated around 6. But the minimum 5 was one I was going with strong. I only got 4 tips right last round. So this bye week bit me. I finally been eliminated from the minimum 5 competition. Oh, that's a bummer. Made to the top 10% though. So, okay.
Yeah.
So not too bad.
Well, you went 4-2. The only bad part is Brad went 5-1. The only tip you had different was the tip of St. Kilda over Brisbane, and Brad got that. I also tipped Brisbane. Brad tipped all the same tips as me. So again, I can't find a way to catch up to him.
That's why I really wish
so
I pulled Collingwood, man. That would have been too good.
I seriously thought about it just to see. But knowing me, if I would have done it, then Melbourne would have won. And so,
that's really what it feels like, unfortunately.
Actually, this is how crazy this is. It's like his ears must be burning. I just got a text message from Brad, so I can actually give you Brad's tips as we go on. He is also tipping Carlton in this round.
Okay,
so this is kind of cool because the game is Thursday.
I won't change my tips to beat Brad. I will stand by them.
Alrighty, well let's see. So he's got Carlton in this first game.
All right, next one, heading over to Marvel Stadium, we got the Essendon Bombers taking on the St. Kilda Saints. I believe that the Saints won't fail me this round. Let's go Saints.
All right. And that is going to be a three-way sweep because both Brad and I also have the St. Kilda Saints winning this one. I just don't like Essendon's, the way they're going. Yes, St. Kilda had some injuries, but I just don't think Essendon has the firepower to be able to stay up there. I just think St. Kilda's got just a little too much in the midfield there. And with Ryder and Rowan Marshall both playing well in the ruck, I think Draper is going to have a long day. So I have the Saints with this one.
I agree with you on that one. And I'm sure we're going to get another three-way tie with probably these next couple of games, Sydney and Port Adelaide. I'm going with the Swans. It is a pretty close game. It's a pretty close game on the betting line there as well. I think it's correctly, the odds makers did a good job with this one. I still like Sydney, and I'm sure that's the same with you too as well, huh?
This is the terrifying one as a Swans fan because you don't want to be overly confident because you're been on the bye week. The biggest worry that you have as a Swans fan going into this game is being rusty or being flat coming out of this game, especially on the road at a hostile environment where Port needs to win this. I mean, Port's season is on the line in this game. This one is over.
They're guaranteed.
There's no way they're making. They're not mathematically. They're still in, but looking at their schedule, it is very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. So this is one of those, if I'm the Swans, you need to be ready for a firestorm to start this game.
Yep.
And you need to be defensively sound. You may go behind a little bit, but you just need to quell the storm and keep the fans on their hands a little bit. And I think the way you finish games, I think will come to fruition at the end of it. I think Sydney wins this one, but this one is very, very close. I'm probably not going to be able to sit still for most of this game because I think this one is going to be a barn burner. To all the Port fans that I know of, I've said this one concerns me a tiny bit. On the road, first game back from a bye, it is never a good combination. So we'll see. I have Sydney. Brad also has me, but I'm honestly putting my hand up and saying Port's going to be in this. Port, I think this is going to come down. Final 5 minutes of the game. Can Sydney get up and push on the lead, or will this be one of those fingernail biting ones that comes down to the wire?
Very fair. We can move from a potential barn burner to what's expected to be a dumpster fire, and that is anything associated with the West Coast Eagles, and especially their game against the Geelong Cats. Ain't no way I am tipping the Eagles. I am tipping the Cats all the way. I'm sure the rest of us are as well.
Yep, three-way run. All Geelong, just too good, even out west.
So same four teams. So we're all in agreement. 4 games through. This one where I guess we might get some disagreement. The Giants Stadium. We got the GWS Giants and the Western Bulldogs. One of the best and one of my favorite rivalries in the league right now. I'll take the Swans. This is an interesting one. It's not the Swans. The other Sydney team, the Giants. The ones I actually like. Wow. But this is an interesting one because betting-wise, the Giants are coming here as close favorites. They are up by 8 cents on the Western Bulldogs, but they're only at 47% of the tipster's choice. I'll ride with my Giants. I'll probably get this one wrong, but let's go, boys. I got some confidence in you.
All right. You want the good news or the bad news?
I'll take the bad news.
Bad news. You're not going to gain any games because Brad has also selected GWS. Good news is I feel left out on this because I have the Western Bulldogs. and here's the reason that I say this. I like the way GWS is playing, but I also look at their winning games, but they're winning games against bad teams. They beat North.
It's a win. It's 4 points.
They beat Essendon and they beat the West Coast Eagles. So I want to see this GWS team tested, and this will be it. If GWS wins this, GWS is the team I thought they were. They dropped this one. GWS is a little bit of a flash in the pan team. I'm worried they face a Dougie's team that is inspired because they know they got to keep winning because they're around Collingwood, they're around Richmond, and they're winning games of 42. You are going to face an inspired team and a GWS team that, honestly, most people have already said, they know they're not going to make the finals. So do they give maximum effort in this game? And can the Western Bulldogs get up on it? This is going to be a tough one. I agree. GWS is
everyone
Well,
gets up for this one.
GWS is one of those teams that I still haven't seen what I thought I would see this year. I thought GWS was going to be in the finals contention, and they haven't been. Yes, they've had injuries. Yes, they didn't have Toby Green to start off with. But even
Still
since
full.
Toby has come back, there are still issues there. Now, it's not only on Coach Cameron's fault. And I think what Spike McVay has come in and done has been really well. He has really made this team much more aggressive offensively. But the issue you run into is sometimes when you get super aggressive offensively, it leaves you vulnerable down back. So this will be fascinating to see, will that aggressiveness attacking the footy hurt them with a Doggies team that is very good at quick handballs and getting out the back. So I'm going to tip Western Bulldogs, but this is one of those I bounce back and forth because GWS, though in the tipping competition that I see, they are heavily underdogged at 66-34. I like them at home at Giant Stadium. So this is one of those I did bounce back and forth. I'm going to tip the Western Bulldogs on this one and hope that a team that needs to stay in the finals has an inspired run after a bye week.
Time for a giant performance, boys. Now you guys might be wondering to yourselves, Ross, some of these, they're underdogs. They're not the best tips, but they're not necessarily bold. Well, here you go. Be patient because I got one for you. The Adelaide Crows are being the Gold Coast Suns. You can book it. And even though we were doing all this talking up about how underrated and how good Gold Coast is and how much we love them, which I still do. I still think all of those. So it's definitely weren't lies. You want a bold tip? You're going to get one. You got the Adelaide Crows knocking out the Suns at Metricon Stadium. You put that. Don't take that money to the. Actually, I don't know. Your money in the bank isn't really doing anything right now. I don't know. You might even bet it.
It's gaining interest depending on what bank you have.
Wells Fargo shill out here. We're not sponsored by but wait, I'm assuming both of you guys are going with Gold Coast. Be the smart thing to do.
Yeah, I'm going with Gold Coast just because Adelaide's inconsistencies, but I will raise my hand on this one. I double taked on this one a couple of times because Adelaide is a team that, again, I've said it numerous times, they are a Jekyll and Hyde team. There are games they are absolutely fantastic to watch, and then there are games they are absolutely putrid. So I don't know what Adelaide Crows team we're going to get. Are we going to get an inspired Tex Walker that kicks 4 goals and really drags Adelaide over the line?
Yes.
Or do we get a Tex Walker that is somewhat invisible at times and doesn't do much? So I'm going to tip Gold Coast. I think what they're doing right now, it's hard to deny. They're at home. They're playing lights out. They're playing inspired footy, and they just look really, really good on the park. I'm going to tip Gold Coast, but this is going to be a barn burner because if the Crows come to play, this is an even more even matchup. Some people are giving it credit for. I cannot wait for this one. Last game of the round. Going to be fascinating. But this one's going to be tough. This one's going to be this was tough to pick. I almost picked Adelaide as well.
Tex is going to kick 5, and I'm going to look like a genius. And then if they don't win, probably, then I'll just look like, my typical self. So it is what it is. But I have to give myself one way to gain some ground on Brad, damn it. And I'm going to you got to take risks. At least one risk around to be able to catch up to this man. So, Adelaide, come through for me, boys. Tex Walker, come through for me, please, because that would make me very, very happy. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us with our breakdown for round 13 of the AFL season. Of course, I've been your host, Ross Allen, joined alongside by the best in the business, footy correspondent, Coach Donnie Hess. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on everything we covered when it comes to a new location for the AFL Grand Final, the scariest team in the league, the most underrated team in the league, and who is the lock for the Brownlow right now, if there is one at all. But Donnie, your thoughts in one word or phrase when it comes to NASCAR races in the stadium.
In LA, weird. My wife and I watched it, and it was like dirt racing on concrete. It was fascinating. but it was weird because it didn't look like a normal NASCAR track. They couldn't get all the cars on there because the track had to be smushed in, so there wasn't that much room. So it was just weird.
It was such a mess. I don't even really watch racing. I don't really care about racing. But I watch it because it's a NASCAR in a football stadium, and it's exactly what you thought it was going to be. It was NASCAR in a football stadium. Doesn't work out as well as the stadiums that can, seat 500,000 people with their mile-long tracks, which is crazy. But yeah, find all of our stuff at thefourthlong.com. Everything footy, thefourthlong.com/AFL. Hit us up on our socials at Fourth Long Media on both Instagram and Twitter. You can find Coach Donnie at Coach Hess40 on both platforms there as well. Follow us, YouTube, subscribe to us, and all that fun stuff. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Rumble, anywhere else you find anything kind of like this show in this format, it is there. And go ahead, do yourselves a favor, do me a favor, and show off your love for the big man himself with your very own I Love Big Cocks Tri-Blend t-shirt. Let's rep it. Let's love the man. And keep your fingers crossed that he gets back to me, because I'm trying to give him a shirt. I'm just going to be a nice person. Just going to be a nice person, man. Just let me give you a shirt, Mason. Please. All right. Hopefully you guys have the best of luck for your teams if they are playing this round. If they're in the bye, enjoy a guaranteed lossless round, which I did for the GW Giants so much last round. And we will catch all of you in round 14 of the AFL season.
Hey Ross, before we get done with this, just a quick shout out to my local team. We actually have our Central Regional Tournament this weekend, so keep an eye out on DM Roosters Footy. We will have updates on how the boys are doing. We are proud to be able to join with the Madison Wombats to be able to play in Division 1 this year, so it's going to be an exciting tournament. So keep an eye on all of the Roosters socials to see how the boys do this weekend, and hopefully we can give ourselves a nice showing up in Blaine, Minnesota, up with the Minnesota Freeze boys there. Cannot wait. So keep an eye on Roosters Footy this weekend. We got Central Tournament.
Let's go Roosters. Heck yeah.
100%. Calling the Roosters.
Calling the Roosters. Let's go, boys. Go Cox.